point here is where a legend was born. They're down 13 points with 3 minutes to go. This is where a legend was born. Drives in on Kaylee Heckle, passes it in. There's a miss, then she goes and one. Realistically, should have got the assist there. Comes across, down 6, fading right, boom. 3-point game, 49 seconds to go.
Okay, you've got 23 seconds on the clock. Your team is down by 2 points. And she just casually pulls up from the logo. Like it's a layup. That one shot might have completely upended everything we thought we understood about the 2028 WNBA draft. For months, all the attention has been on superstars like Juju Watkins and other big names. But a 19-year-old from Canada just stormed onto the scene in the most stunning way imaginable. Syla Swords put on a show against UConn that is analysts digging for comparisons they haven't made since Caitlin Clark's legendary run during the COVID season. And listen, when your name gets mentioned in the same breath like that, when the media starts calling you the Canadian Caitlin Clark, you know you've done something extraordinary. But this is what sets her apart from all the other prospects who get hyped up too early. It wasn't just about the eye-popping stats or the incredible highlights. It was about her doing it when the pressure was at its absolute peak against an iconic program, all while wearing a protective face mask and almost completing a comeback that had no business happening.
The star-making performance from her. We might have seen a star-making performance in a loss from Syla Swords. And Syla Swords last year was one of the best freshmen in the nation. I'll say one of the best, because I don't know if I'm not going to go out there and say she was Michaela Blake's good, Joyce Edwards good, or or Sarah Strong good. But I'm gonna be honest.
Let's really set the stage here because the background is crucial. Last season, Syla Swords was already considered one of the top freshmen in the country, but she wasn't in that top tier. We're talking not quite at the Michaela Blakes or Joyce Edwards level, and certainly not part of the same discussion as Juju Watkins or Sarah Strong. She was a gifted, dependable player for a Michigan team that actually battled with South Carolina in her debut college game, where she scored 26 points. But she was still viewed as being in that next level down from the truly elite. Now fast forward to the current season, and it's clear something has changed entirely. Michigan was getting blown out by UConn, trailing by 17 to 20 points in the first half. You simply do not recover from that kind of hole against a powerhouse like that. But it seems like Swords never got that message. Her very first score of the contest was a pull-up three-pointer with a face mask on, no less. It was just a casual bucket that served as an announcement that she was about to completely take over the game.
Went in the Big Ten tournament last year. But yeah, comes in, steps into it, boom. And she's just very unorthodox with how she scores in general. When she's not shooting the three, she's just unorthodox. But again, their comeback, a lot of it was off the back of Syla Swords. And again, it's just...
Alright, now you have to watch this sequence closely, because this is the kind of stuff that builds legends. Michigan is down by 13 points, with only 3 minutes left in the game. Swords attacks Kaylee Heckle off the dribble and dishes it inside. Her teammate misses the shot, so Swords basically decides right then and there that she's going to drag this team back all by herself. She curls off a screen, fades to her right, and drills the shot. Suddenly, it's a 3-point game with 49 seconds to go. UConn goes down and scores. She gets the ball back, uses another screen, and fades to her right. Once again, bang. It's a 2-point game with only 22 seconds left. By now, UConn knows exactly where the ball is going. They design an inbound play, specifically to deny her the ball. But she reads it, comes off a flare screen, cuts to her left instead, launches from way downtown, and absolutely buries it. That's the shot that has the whole world buzzing. That's the moment that's making everyone go back and watch Caitlin Clark's incredible game against Michigan from that COVID year.
You've got College Sports Only calling her the Canadian Caitlin Clark. Calling her the Canadian Caitlin Clark. Like, that's all people are talking about. Syla Swords pulled up like Caitlin Clark. Really hate Michigan. Didn't be UConn. AZ Foot's a great player. AZ Foot's really fucking good. Lisa Bluer said Michigan women's basketball team gave Caitlin Clark a gift following the game. They all wrote to Caitlin signed. That's obviously it's after the game. But It reminds me of this game here. Like, I don't really care. Like, she was unbelievable. But it just reminds me of this, where they're down 12, whatever, 6 minutes to go. And Caitlin Clark just goes, bang. Let me just pull. Maybe what Syla Swords did was not from quite as deep. Maybe it's not from... Because this is the first time I remember being like, holy shit, who is this Caitlin Clark?
And if that performance feels familiar, let me take you back to that specific Caitlin Clark game, because the similarities are just uncanny. Iowa was down to only 6 available players because of COVID protocols. They were losing to Michigan by 12 points with just 6 minutes remaining. And that's when Caitlin Clark just went nuclear. She started launching shots from distances that defy logic, hitting baskets that had no business dropping. She single-handedly pulled her team back into a contest they should have lost by 20. Iowa ended up losing, but that effort is what made everyone realize they were witnessing something truly different. Sound familiar? That is precisely what we just saw from Swords against UConn. The unconventional offensive arsenal, the absolute fearlessness to take and hit impossible shots when it matters most, a total lack of concern for the moment, or the name on the opposing jersey. The fact that both of these incredible showcases happened in losses is completely irrelevant. These are the types of games that elevate players from merely good to potential icons. And here's the thought that should absolutely terrify every other team in women's college basketball. Swords is already a key player for Canada's national team. She made the Olympic roster while she was still a high schooler. Sure, she didn't get much playing time, but being there at all speaks volumes about her future. If you ask who will be the top scorer for Team Canada in a couple of years, the answer is very likely Syla Swords.
This might actually be the closest thing we've seen to it. And she could be, like, if there's anyone that's going to be the next Caitlin Clark, they have to be good. So your Kiyomi McMillers of the world aren't really these microwave scorers. And Syla Swords has already been really good for the Canadian national team. She's been a really good player for the senior Canada national team. She's already one of their best players. She's probably, if you're asking me who is the best scorer on the Canadian national team, it's going to be, like, very soon it's going to be Syla Swords. She was on the Olympic team, didn't play much. Obviously, she was a high school student. But, like, she is genuinely the...
So let's discuss what this performance really means for the 2028 draft. Because this is where the conversation gets fascinating. We all know how unbelievably loaded the 2024 class was, with names like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Cameron Brink. It was widely considered a generational group of talent, but just look at the players who are on the horizon. You have Syla Swords putting on shows like this. You have Michaela Williams, who is a complete force of nature at LSU. You've got Joyce Edwards at South Carolina, although to be fair, the Gamecocks system means she probably won't grab the public's imagination, like these other players will. And then, if Juju Watkins opts to remain in school for her senior season, you've got a draft class that could seriously compete with, or maybe even be better than what we just witnessed in 2024. The key difference is going to be exposure. Iowa, led by Caitlin Clark, was appointment television because of her insane shooting range, her magnetic personality, and her style of play. South Carolina racks up championships, but they do it with a stifling defense and a balanced offense, which doesn't really hook the casual viewer. But Michigan, led by Swords and Olivia Olson, that duo could make them the most entertaining team to watch in the entire country this year.
Like, I'm trying to think of teams that I really liked watching last year. I really liked watching that Notre Dame team because it was stacked. And this year it doesn't feel like anyone's stacked. It feels like UConn have taken a step back, but they're still better. Like, it feels like they're worse than last year, but they're still better, if you get me. So, or they're still, better in comparison. I just don't feel like there's a Juju, Kiki Riafen, Kaylee Heckel, Avery Howell, Rhea Marshall team just sitting there. Like, I think Iowa losing Lucy Olson's huge, but yeah, Iowa might make the Elite Eight this year. They might fuck about make the Elite Eight. So yeah, it's an interesting one.
Just think about the teams that people genuinely wanted to tune into last season. Notre Dame was loaded with talent and had a fun, up-tempo style. USC, of course, had the Juju show. Iowa had Lucy Olson attempting to step into some massive shoes. This season, however, feels a bit different. It seems like the elite talent is more spread out across the country, and there isn't one single team that is obviously head and shoulders above everyone else. That kind of environment creates a vacuum, an opportunity for a player like Swords to jump into that void and own the spotlight. And she isn't just some volume shooter putting up empty numbers on a mediocre team. She's playing next to Olivia Olson, who some might say is the more complete player overall. Olson is more consistent, more polished, and possibly more essential to Michigan's week-to-week success. But what Olson doesn't have is this. She doesn't have that rare ability to hijack a game in the last 3 minutes against a top 5 opponent and make you feel like a miracle is about to unfold. That is the thing that separates the good from the great. It's what made Caitlin Clark different from everyone else in her draft class. And it's the exact quality Syla Swords just put on full display.
I'm very, very impressed with how Syla Swords has been doing. And I've been impressed. If you guys have been looking at this channel, I've been impressed with Syla Swords like since her first game. I've been really impressed with her since her first game. Because I was kind of keeping an eye out for her because I watched the Olympics and just saw they were like, everyone was talking about this high school player being on the Canadian team. And I was like, shit, like, it doesn't, I wouldn't, I'm surprised about that, and she's been as good as advertised. And not only that, again, it's not like Michigan are just Syla Swords either. You've got Olivia Olson, who you can make the argument is better. Not as fun to watch and not as capable of doing shit like this, but like you could definitely argue. You can definitely argue is a better player. So anyway, yeah, that is pretty much it, lads.
Here's the wild thing about those moments that define a star's career. They don't always come in victories. As a matter of fact, some of the most iconic performances in history have come during losses. That's when you get to see a player's true grit. It's when the game is getting away and they absolutely refuse to surrender without putting up a fight. When they rise to a level that seems impossible under the circumstances. Caitlin Clark's epic game against Michigan was a loss, but it's the one everyone points to when they talk about the moment they knew she was a generational talent. It's the performance that gets replayed in every highlight reel and career summary. The final score was secondary to what she showed about herself in that game. Syla Swords just had her own version of that very moment. Down big to UConn, playing with a face mask that would be a ready-made excuse for most athletes to have a quiet night. She almost pulled off the impossible. The fact that Michigan didn't win in the end doesn't take away from her achievement. If anything, it makes it even more remarkable because she didn't have the help around her to complete the job. So the new question is, can she keep this up? Can she use this game as a launching pad for a season-long campaign? Because that's what separates a flash in the pan from a true movement. Clark had that Michigan game and then went on to dominate the sport for 2 more years, ultimately shattering the NCAA scoring record and becoming the biggest superstar the women's game has ever produced. Swords has the skill, she has her signature moment, and she has the platform at Michigan with nationally televised games, getting a type of spotlight that players at South Carolina will never experience. She has Olivia Olson drawing away defensive attention. She has a Canadian national team background that provides international legitimacy. The one thing she needs to prove now is consistency. She has to demonstrate that the UConn game wasn't a one-time thing. She must prove that when the lights are brightest and everything is on the line, she's the one you want taking the final shot. And from what we just witnessed, from how poised she was pulling up from 30 feet with the game hanging in the balance, I believe she's more than ready for it. The 2028 WNBA draft is 4 years away, which feels like an eternity, but we are seeing these players' stories unfold right now. We're witnessing the moments that will shape their legacies before they even realize what's happening. Clark probably had no idea that Michigan game would become iconic. She was just trying to win, Swords probably doesn't know yet that this Yukon performance might be the one people look back on as the night she became a star. She was just trying to pull off an insane comeback. But that's the nature of these things. The moments find you. So this is what I'm looking for this season. Can Michigan become a real title contender with Swords and Olsen at the helm? Can Swords keep up this level of clutch shot making against top-tier opponents? And maybe most importantly, can she manage the immense pressure that's about to come with being called the next Caitlin Clark? Because that title is both a blessing and a curse. There will likely only be one Caitlin Clark. The unique conditions that led to her stardom. A perfect combination of skill, timing, personality, and media exposure. Can't be manufactured. But if there's anyone out there with a chance to bottle even a little of that lightning, to become that must-see player that casual fans go out of their way to watch, it just might be Syla. Swords. That Yukon game was only the introduction. The real test begins right now.